Hi everybody, thank you for joining me. So today is the 35th anniversary of the UK release of Paul McCartney's Press to Play album, released on September 1st, 1986. Much maligned by many people and loved by quite a lot of people as well. It's certainly an album that divides opinion. Well, today some of you might have seen that the Super Deluxe Edition website have announced that they're producing an unofficial guide, a 32-page guide to the album. And I have managed to get my hands on an early copy, and here it is. I'm going to show you what's in here. Not in too much detail, because I would encourage you to buy it if you're interested, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about this Super Deluxe Edition series and what you can kind of expect in this booklet if you were to order it. So, I have been interested in this series based on the two previous ones that I've bought, which was the Producers, which was brought out to sort of coincide with the Flowers in the Dirt archive collection, and it's a really good companion to that archive collection because it's the story as told by various producers and engineers on the album who weren't necessarily involved in the archive collection, so they're able to tell their story a little bit more unfiltered, not quite so sort of under the filter of MPL, if you like. And then I think it was last year when this came out, and this is 10 years of the Paul McCartney archive collection, so it was a really good overview of each of the packages that we've had over the last 10 years, and Paul at Super Deluxe Edition, how he rated it, and he's certainly not afraid to tell us when he thinks that they didn't quite come up to scratch. And I can tell you that he's produced another really good booklet here. So this just arrived today, and like I say, I'm going to show you sort of roughly what's in here. I can't tell you the exact price where you are, because I guess it depends on where you are in the world and postage and that kind of thing. But what I can tell you is in the UK it's £12.50 for this. Now it's limited to 1,000 copies, and the first 500 are signed by Hugh Padgham, who was the producer of Press to Play, and he's very prominently featured in here, as we'll see. So I'll show you this. It comes in a plastic covering to protect it if the postman gets caught in rain, for example. So that's good. So let's get a good shot of the front there. You'll see there's a sticker here. It's a removable sticker, 32 pages of content, the unofficial collector's guide. Paul McCartney, Press to Play at 35, produced by the Super Deluxe Edition website. Nice theme on the back there. You might be thinking, what's that all about? It's Paul's shirt. They did the same on the 10 years of the archive as well. Now that particular booklet there, that sold out last year, but they are making it available again. They've done a reprint, so if any of you missed out last year, there are deals. I'm going to put links in the description to where you can buy this, and there are bundles where you can get that with it as well, and I think there's even a bundle where you can get that as well. So there's options available. So let me show you this anyway. Inside there is a foreword by Paul. When I say Paul during this, I'm meaning Paul at Super Deluxe Edition, not Paul McCartney. So there's an intro by Paul there, and he's certainly not afraid to give the album a bit of a hammering for its lack of commercial success. In the text there. This one, as you can see, signed by Hugh Padgham at the bottom, and also by Paul himself. Paul at Super Deluxe Edition. I'll stop making that clarification now. We then go into what I think is the main selling point of this particular booklet, which is a new interview that Paul's done with Hugh Padgham, who was the producer of Press to Play, and this is really interesting. It goes into a lot of detail about how Hugh got involved in the album, like how did he come to work with Paul McCartney in the first place, how was it positioned with him, how did they get on during the sessions, because it's sort of quite well known that there was a bit of friction between the two. It kind of reminds me of what happened roughly 20 years later with Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, and some sort of friction between Paul and Nigel Godrich there. Kind of a similar thing. Hugh was very much a hotshot, in-demand producer at the time. He'd done Synchronicity by the Police not long before. He'd worked on things with Phil Collins, and obviously they were two of the biggest names in the world at the time. So he got on board with Paul, and it goes into a lot of depth there about Hugh's time working with Paul on Press to Play. So that's really interesting. We've then got a section press to play track by track. So you've got, first of all, you've got a bit of a review of the album and how it came to being by the author Paul, how he assembled a team for the album. And then it goes into a track by track review, Paul's own review of each song on the album, and some sort of contemporary posters and adverts of the time. And it's not just the songs that are on the album that are covered here. It also goes into detail about things that weren't on the album but were part of the sessions. So, for example, we've got the CD-only bonus tracks, It's Not True, Right Away, Tough on a Tightrope are covered in here, as is Hang Glide, Spies Like Us, which is part of the sessions, and Yvonne, still unreleased officially to this day. And then there's a bit of information there about, what happened next for Paul after the Press to Play sessions. And by Paul there, I do mean Paul McCartney. It then goes on to a section called Remixing McCartney. So this is a new interview with John Tokes Potica. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure how that surname's pronounced. But he remixed Spies Like Us and Pretty Little Head back in the 80s for Paul. So again, he was working closely with Paul McCartney in that mid-80s period, and we've got his story here of how he came to be involved and the work that he did. So again, that's really interesting. And that goes on for a few pages. We've then got a section about reviews from the time. So this is, what were the music press, for example, saying about Press to Play at the time, not 35 years later, but what were their initial reactions. And there's some really interesting pieces in here where it's really, some of the music journalists at the time were trying to make out that Press to Play was, up there with Ram and Band on the Run as the great thing, the thing that Paul McCartney will be remembered for in decades to come. So it's quite funny seeing how it was being previewed at the time. We've got credits for the album and information about the singles from the album, when they were sort of what the B-sides were and all that kind of thing, what configurations they came in. And then some detail at the back about other ones in this series that Super Deluxe Edition have done. So I think for the especially for the Hugh Padgham one, that's the main one, because there's it was well documented that it wasn't always didn't particularly end on great terms necessarily between the two of them. So it's really interesting to read that. So this, as far as I know what question's going to get asked, so I'm going to kind of cover it here. As far as I know, there is no information available anywhere about a potential Press to Play archive collection. But I would absolutely love that to happen. I would love there to be a Press to Play archive. But what I can say is that if we do get one at some point, then this would sit really nicely alongside it, like that one does with the Flowers in the Dirt archive. It's a real good perspective, not from Paul and whatever band he was working with at the time, but from the people who are also working really closely on the album. You get their kind of unfiltered story as well. So I would definitely recommend this. Like I say, I've put details in the description if you're interested. I think they're getting posted out next week for any orders that are in by then. I don't know how long it'll be available for. I certainly don't know how long you'll be able to get a Hugh Padgham autograph on yours. So you might want to be quick. If you're gonna get it, you might want to be quick. But yeah, I'm gonna go over this again because I've kind of skimmed over it for the purposes of doing this, but I'm going to look at it in a lot more depth because there's a lot to enjoy in here. So leave me your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you as always, and I will see you again very soon. Goodbye.